A few weeks ago, our Democracy in Action class, along with their trip leaders, Will Grant, Gabe Arcade, and Eric Niles, crammed into 2 small school vans and began one of the most memorable trips I've had at Athenian so far, a trip to the Yuba River located in the Sacramento Valley. Our vision with this trip was to see and learn how democracy works in the outside world. The journey began a week earlier in our small ordinary classroom, where we began studying the place we had spent 2 days exploring. We focused on a part of the main stem of the 40-mile-long Yuba River, which runs from the slopes of the Sierra Nevadas to the San Francisco Bay and out to the ocean. We specifically looked at 2 dams, the 280-foot hydro-powered Englebright and the 24-foot debris-collecting Daguerre Point. These 2 dams were built in the 1940s to collect debris that was created by hydraulic mining during the gold rush. There have been many discussions on their removal in the past few decades. We analyzed documents on the subject from some of the main stakeholders: the YCWA, Yuba County Water Agency, Circle, the South Yuba River Citizens League, and the Department of Environmental Studies at UC Santa Cruz. Each had their own view on what the purpose and needs of the river and its community were, and we as a class were determined to hear and see all the points of view. We soon found out just how complicated issues like this really were in the world, though. On day 1, we rafted down a section of the Yuba River with representatives from Circle. Along the way, we observed and learned about one of the most important stakeholders in this issue, the salmon. The Yuba River was known historically as having one of the greatest salmon runs in the country. Before the dams, the river was estimated to have nearly 1 million salmon returning per year. In the past recent decades, the salmon have averaged only just 15,000 salmon per year, and that number has dropped drastically in the more recent ones. These anadromous fish have to travel more than 200 miles from the ocean to their breeding grounds. And now, that journey includes jumping through the fish ladders at Daguerre Point and adjusting to the changes in water flow, depth, and temperature due to the Englebright Dam.
A salmon's life is a lot more complex. They can evolve in ways that we can't even fathom. They're not just like little fish swimming around. They are intelligent, they are capable, and we need to give them credit for that, and we need to keep them around.
Nothing can compare to witnessing these beautiful, strong creatures journey in the circle of their nature. From physically changing to adapt to the freshwater, to fighting in the breeding grounds to continue their legacy, to fertilizing and giving life to new salmon that will one day follow their path as they have followed their parents. And then to finally die in both the waters of their birth and of their creator's blood and flesh. We learned that salmon don't just need the river for their survival, but the river needs the salmon as well. On their journey to rebirth, the salmon bring many nutrients from the ocean, which benefits many other parts of the river's community. Circle showed us how to see the river as not just a body of water, but as a system, where everything has a role to play, no matter how big or how small. Rafting down the river that day, we heard the river's voice, loud and clear. But the next day we were in for a surprise, as we planned to hear from 2 very different, but also just as important voices in this issue. We woke up early the next morning, put on our hats and mittens, and headed out to our next stop. When Will stopped the van, we all got out, walked up a pathway, and came to this. Our next meeting was with a member of the local Native American tribe, the Maidu, and we were going to talk in one of their traditional buildings called a hu. Sitting in a circle on the warm ground with a fire between us, we began to listen to him speak about the river's importance and value to the Maidu culture and tribe. Like Circle, the Maidu understood the importance of the river as a system, but much differently, they saw humans not as something that's separate from the river, but in fact as something that's a part of the system that too needs to play a role. So the most amazing thing about the Maidu guy, hearing his story, was he went out into the world and was a successful man economically. And then he came to this point, he came to this realization that there was a part of him that had a responsibility to nature. It's kind of like the salmon. The salmon are born in the rivers. They take their whole journey all the way to the ocean. They eat all these different fish and other organisms in the ocean, and then they come back. They come back to their birthplace, and then they die, leaving all their nutrients and leaving everything they've taken their whole life with nature. Him and the Maidu believe that the humans also have a responsibility like that. That we take our whole lives, but eventually we have to turn around and come back. Eventually we have to give back to nature. And that's what the calling back the salmon ceremony why he brought it back. He brought it back because he believed that people had lost this sense. That they had lost this sense that they had a responsibility to do something with nature. We can't just leave nature alone, we're a part of nature. That's why we have to continue the cycle, and we have to eventually turn around and start giving. After we thanked him for his time with an Athenian sweatshirt and a package of tobacco, we left the Yuba River in Nevada City and drove into the Central Valley, specifically to the headquarters of the Yuba County Water Agency, the owners of the dam. So after going down the rivers and talking to the circle people and then talking to the Maidu guy, I kind of already thought I had my mind set, that I knew which side I was on, whether I wanted the dam removal or not. But I have to say, I was honestly surprised when I met with the YCWA guy and he told us about his kind of views. The YCWA representative, from the moment we sat down, started throwing charts, statistics, and numbers at us. It was very overwhelming, but it showed us just how complicated democracy is when an issue affects so many different people.
He had a different focus than all the people we had previously talked to. The way he explained it, like through the PowerPoint presentation and all the data and everything that he kind of threw at us, it was just kind of a shock compared to the experiential learning that we've been doing previously.
And in essence, that's what true democracy is about. We learned about all these different point of views, but it's the putting it together part, the part of putting them together and figuring out what is the best solution for the whole community. And that was the best part to see, is to see that people are trying to work together. They're trying to find the best thing.
I really learned a lot from our field trip, how Will present us all the perspective from Maidu, from the circle, and from the Yuba County Water Agency, instead of just telling us, oh, Maidu is right or the circle is the right thing. I believe not only in the school and the class, you can use it in the whole nation on election. We should all make a judgment after we fully understand what the issue is about.